a little traumatic to be up here twice today, but I'm happy to see you all. Welcome. And just please join me for a moment of reflection and prayer to think about those who are in need today. Thank you. Jill has our flag salute, and Dennis has our four-way test.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The things we think, say, or do
Is it true? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill of their friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
And I had a request to go old school. Grab someone's hand and give them a shake. Maybe say hi to a couple of people. We haven't done that since the pandemic.
Yeah, hello, hello. I'm right here.
Yeah, I will. All right. How'd that feel, everyone?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Woo. All right, back to the old Oklahoma hospitality friendliness. So maybe we'll make that a new thing in the new year. We've got a couple of guests today. Steve Wicks has a guest.
You don't say anything. I have with me today Jen Martin. She's a public health educator at the health department. Works a little bit in the arena that Teresa Collado today is going to listen to your speech.
Welcome. And then Holly Pepler has a guest.
Good morning. I brought my spouse Adam with me today. He's off work, so great time to show him what Rotary is all about and talk to him all about it. So I'm glad to have him here today to learn more about what we do.
Welcome, Jennifer and Adam. A couple of announcements. There is no meeting next week, and that is due to the governor installation on Monday, June 30th. So if you have not signed up for that, it's going to be full quick. When's the deadline?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow? Okay, it's going to close tomorrow. So it's going to be Monday, June 30th, here at 11:30 for the governor installation. So sign up by tomorrow. And there's over 100 people already signed up, so get your spot. Rotary After Hours is not this week, but next week, June 26th. It's going to be at O'Connell's Irish Pub, and it starts at 5 p.m. or whenever you get there. So come join us for some fellowship next week at O'Connell's. Does anyone have any announcements? We've got two people that are also up for membership candidates. Dan Thomas and Donita Dixon have been proposed for membership in Norman Rotary. So just be aware, if there's a reason that they should not be approved, please share the reasons and to Stephen, keeper of the secrets. Yes. All right, any other announcements? All right, so I'm going to introduce myself. I'm Teresa Collado. I'm the executive director at the Virtue Center, which is a nonprofit here in Norman. It's been around since 1992. So we're coming up on, well, if I could do the math, it's 53 years, right? Yeah. Dan's still calculating in his head. So, and it was started by a man named Dick Virtue. He found his own recovery from alcoholism after losing his successful insurance business, his family. He was separated from his family, and he devoted his life to helping others who were suffering. And it started out as the Norman Alcohol Information Center, and today, named in his honor, is the Virtue Center. And what started off as literally one-man operation with Dick answering the phone with a little desk, to a beautiful agency that this club and other clubs, and the community helped to build. Because with substance use disorders, there's a lot of shame. And with mental health disorders, there's a lot of shame. And those are health issues, and there shouldn't be shame. And the community came together and created this beautiful place where lots of times when our clients come in, they just take a deep breath, their shoulders drop, and they say, this feels good, this feels safe. And so I always have to thank the community anytime I speak for being a part of making that happen. Thank you so much. So today, what we're here to talk about is opioid awareness and overdose prevention. And does anyone know what opioids are? Kyle, of course, Kyle. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So opioids are basically just a general classification of any medication or illegal drug that comes from basically like heroin and stuff. And so they'll like narcotics kind of in a sense. And so some of them are controlled, some of them are not controlled. They're used for pain medication, but they all come from some form of the opium plant and stuff. So, and then you have different levels of classification as far as like Schedule 1, never do that heroin, it's bad for you. Schedule 2 is gonna be like morphine, fentanyl and stuff. So, but they are prescription drugs, but some of them are illegal.
Wow, thank you. My co-presenter, Kyle. So opiates are derived from the poppy plant. And at one time, it wasn't that dangerous because they would just touch the poppy plant, take what the substance is, and just put it in the mouth. And it has really expanded since then. So the poppy plant in of itself is not bad. It's just how it's used. So opiates are from the poppy plant. Opioids is the synthetic blanket term for opioids. Now, and I brought some today, and I hope that you guys will take some. We have some Narcan or naloxone, and it's an opioid reversal agent. So I'll tell you a little bit more about that, but it can save lives. And what we're finding today is that people are taking opioids and they don't even know that they're taking opioids because the folks that make the illicit drugs are adding fentanyl into the drugs that they're making. This can be pill form, powder, vapes, whatever, and you don't know that. A person may not know that they are ingesting fentanyl. And fentanyl is a synthetic opioid. We also have some services at the agency. We work with an advanced nurse practitioner. It's her clinic, but what's great about it is located at our building. And she provides medication-assisted treatment for people that suffer from alcoholism and also from opioid addiction. And it's just a way to help people as they are in their initial recovery to be under the supervision of a medical professional and work their way to being totally substance-free. It's a great way to manage early recovery. And that is also something that we have at the Virtue Center. One of the things that is a little bit controversial that we want people to know is about harm reduction. Ideally, when someone has a substance use disorder, the best thing to do is to not use at all. That would be the ideal standard, right? Not to use anymore. Because once you have the disease of addiction, you always have it. It's a chronic progressive disease. And if it's not treated, it can lead to death. When you add opioids into it, there may be accidental deaths due to overdose, and they're not intending to die, but it can cause deaths. So harm reduction is the MAC clinic for one, and there's other, even more controversial issues. The longer I've been around, the more open I am, because what we're about is keeping people alive. and also keeping from other diseases spreading. There's some places have needle exchange programs, HIV is rising, hepatitis is rising. So looking at different ways to keep people as safe and as healthy as they can while they're dealing with their addiction. I'm gonna just run through these. I don't really like PowerPoints, so it's making me extra nervous because I don't like PowerPoints. So let me tell you the why on the harm reduction. So we have a client who's getting ready to graduate from treatment court, and her name is Janice. That's not her real name, but Janice looks like you and me, right? She's put together. She could be at this Rotary meeting. And so she was in denial about her use of opioids because she's pretty functioning. She looked like you and me. No one could tell. But guess what? You keep using, you're going to get in trouble. And she did. She was found in her car, passed out, in possession of her keys. The car wasn't on, but that's a serious charge. That's a serious charge. So she went to treatment court because what treatment court does, in lieu for her a 7-year sentence, she pleads into treatment court and has an opportunity to address her addiction. So she was not necessarily happy about this and in a lot of denial. And she kept getting sanctions. Treatment court's pretty tough. You don't pass a drug test, you lie, you're not where you're supposed to be, guess what? You go to jail for the weekend. So she kept lying about her opioid use. And that's what kept getting her in trouble. As she dug into her recovery, she realized that she learned to lie about addiction because her mom suffered from alcoholism. And that's what you do, you cover it up. You lie, you don't want anyone to know the mess. And that's where she learned to lie, was to cover up her mom's illness. And so as she experienced her own, that pattern had already been established, and she continued to lie. But that's what we love, when we keep people alive, and when we get them into treatment, they may be kicking and screaming at the beginning. If they stay long enough, they catch the disease. Oh, I don't have a problem, right? I don't have a problem. The more that they're willing to stay in treatment, they learn that they do have a problem, that they have this disease. So today, not today, but in general today, it's next week, she's graduating from treatment court successfully. And she has her 2 sons living with her. She had to take a job that she thought was beneath her, which was at a casual dining restaurant. So in the beginning, in her initial recovery, she was like, this is below me. And now she loves it and is moving into management, and her life is just totally different. And what would have happened if Janice had overdosed? What would happen if Janice didn't have access to the MAC clinic, the medication that she needed? And she did work with our advanced practice nurse on her medicines. And today she's doing really well. So that's the why this is important. Let's look a little bit at the epidemic, and I'm gonna, again, pass through some of this stuff, maybe. Oh, maybe I don't have to use this. I'll just talk. That's better anyway. All right, so the Virtue Center is a hub for Narcan, and Narcan is what is needed if someone is overdosing because it reverses that. Oh, thank you. We're going to pass all this. You know who put this together was a clinician, and I am not a clinician. Let's go past that. Okay, Oklahoma stats. Oklahoma ranks 7th for highest rates of opioid prescriptions, and it's gotten much better over the years, but we're still in the top 10 for opioid addiction. Opioids were the leading cause of unintentional overdoses in Cleveland County from 2018 to 2022. That's from the Oklahoma health department. And then from 19, you know, there's always a delay in data, right? But from 2019 to 2021, the number of fentanyl overdose deaths in Oklahoma increased by 500%. And that's from the Oklahoma Department of Health as well. So what we're finding with our clients is that they don't realize that they're taking fentanyl. It is mixed with meth, it's mixed with ecstasy, those ones that are considered recreational drugs. It's mixed in with marijuana and vape. And so when they are detoxing, they're not having the normal detox, they're having the detox from opioids. And so they get very sick and they don't even know what is happening. Fentanyl is cheap, it is highly addictive, so if you're getting people addicted, add a little fentanyl and they really think they need that drug, right? Any questions before I move on? Okay. So Oklahoma still ranks high. We are making progress in Oklahoma and other states. I don't know if you remember when people were finding, you know, just people overdose in cars with their children around. I mean, it got really bad. But because of the awareness that we have today, the lawsuits, and the money that is being poured into policies and treatment, we are seeing some progress. So what are the signs of an opioid overdose? Here we go. So pinpoint pupils, loss of consciousness, so you might find somebody that's passed out, limp body, shallow, slow, erratic breathing, or sometimes they might not be breathing at all, choking or gurgling sounds, irrational behavior or confusion, blue lips or fingernails, pale or clammy skin. I know I was out with my daughter. We went up to the city to go to dinner together, and young people are aware of this too. They know that they might not be using drugs, but they know that their friends are. And so anyway, we went to dinner, and there was a guy passed out in a truck. She had me, she's like 20 at this time, she had me turn around and she ran over there to check on him, to make sure he was okay. I also had another person reach out to me, and her granddaughter was going on spring break, and she wanted her to take some naloxone with her in case, you know, something happened with one of her friends, or even someone that's not a friend, because you're with a lot of people, you don't know what's happening. So this is Narcan right here. If you administer this to someone that isn't overdosing from opioids, it's not going to harm them. So don't try to figure it out. Remember all these signs and symptoms? I mean, that can mean a lot of things, right? But if you suspect that someone's not breathing, or having trouble breathing, I recommend having naloxone, just like a first aid kit. That's all, just something you have in your first aid kit. First thing to do is call 911. Call 911 first. Then administer the naloxone, and it's like a allergy spray, nose spray. There's 2 doses in a box. You want to administer the first dose, and don't prime it or anything, because it'll just all come out. So you don't waste it. So you just slip it in their nose and monitor them. Turn them on the side in case they vomit, because what it does is reverses the overdose, and they're not feeling well. They're withdrawing, like it's a quick withdrawal, and there's a lot of sickness with the withdrawal from opioids. But call 911 is the most important thing. Yeah, that someone could be hypersensitive to naloxone, but there's no other contradictions that are known at this time. And if anyone has opioids in their home, and there's legitimate reasons to have opioids, there is a reason to have prescriptions, those kinds of things, but if you have it, lock it up and have naloxone in your home. There you go, call 911, peel, press, and place and press, it's just in the nostrils. You see it, you just put your 2 fingers on there, administer it. Repeat every 2 minutes until a person becomes responsive, and then move into recovery position. You can administer as much as needed. You want to keep doing that until the ambulance, the EMTs get there. Any questions about that? Yeah.
Is there an age limit where it's too young to give that to, if you have like a little kid getting somebody's medicine?
No. Yeah. No, there's just, I mean, it just reverses the opioid overdose, and if there's none, it's not going to affect them at all. So it's better to use it. So yeah, you've seen that where children have been exposed to it accidentally, and they have died from that. So whether you have legit opioids or illicit opioids, you want to just keep this around. Plus, I was at the Downtowners Association meeting, and they were getting ready for the Norman Music Festival, and she was presenting about this, and she says we have tons of these on hand for the Norman Music Festival. EMTs have them, police officers have them, but if you're in a situation where a loved one, a family member, or just, you're at an event, you could save someone's life while we're getting, medical help. I know this isn't the most fun topic. I'm just gonna look in here and see if there's anything else. I think I'm gonna leave it at this. We might get done really early, unless you guys have questions, but I wanted to talk a little bit more about this. One of the things we had yeah, Wes.
So with the book at the screen that you go through now, it seems not exactly the same, but it's very similar to what the Association teaches in CPR. Not exactly the same, obviously, but is there a move to incorporate this kind of thing into the training of CPR? If you find someone who is maybe out of it, for example, when you've got a person who's having a heart issue, which is possibly CPR, or someone who has this problem, which way do you go? Is there some kind of a move and how, that
I'm trained in CPR and I haven't seen it, but I don't know what's happening at the hospital level. But I'm trained in CPR and they don't mention this at all.
Should be added to.
Yeah, I mean, that's something we can work towards. I mean, it is similar in the sense, what do they say in CPR? Call 911 and make sure you're looking at someone like Stephen, call 911. If you're alone, then you're just gonna have to call 911 as quickly as you can while you get a hold of your naloxone. They do have expiration dates, but it's better to use an expired one than none at all. That could have an impact on them. Andy?
Increase 500%. Is that like 1 in 5?
It's, say that again, here.
Overdoses.
Actually, increase 500%. One to 5 is 500.
Oh, I gotcha. No, it's more than from 1 to 5. But I don't know that I have those numbers for you, but I'll get those. The health department actually, and I know we have a health department person here, actually has some great handouts on this. And they do have some of the stats on there.
I got a question.
Yes?
What opportunities are there for inadvertent use of these opioids? Like, for instance, like we got a hip one time, and the doctor wanted to give you like 40 pills, which you don't really need, Is that appropriate in these kind of situations with this fentanyl?
Well, the fentanyl probably wouldn't be in the opioids that your doctor got for you. But they do use fentanyl in the hospital. I mean, that is a legitimate medicine that helps you when you're getting surgery, because you do not want to be awake when you're having surgery. So there's legitimate uses for this. In fact, heroin could be a legitimate use in a hospital setting. It's actually not as potent as some of the other drugs that are used, like fentanyl. So I'm telling you this because we had Dr. Travis Reeder come recently and share his story. And he gave the history of opioids, and at one point it was in bare aspirin. So it was used just over the counter, it was in bare aspirin, and then there started to be these negative effects from it. People were not doing well, people were dying, so heroin's bad. Heroin used to be in bare. So it went from one extreme to the other. But it actually, in a medical setting, it could be used properly, just like any of these other dangerous drugs. But you don't want these drugs out on the street. But if you took the 40 opioids at one time, that would not be good. And the naloxone would be very handy in that situation. Yes?
Yes, well, I'm a prescriber,
Uh-huh.
and they've made it very difficult for us to prescribe.
Yeah.
We do all these checks, and we can only do so much, and so that's been addressed. And sometimes you need those medications, but my gut feeling is that those are not the deaths. It's the illicit fentanyl-laced drugs that are killing so many people. That's my gut feeling. And you don't buy that?
No, I think that has very much to do with what's the overdoses that we're seeing. What happened when they changed the policies, and it wasn't as easy to get medicine like that, or for the prescribers to prescribe the medicine, and you are legit. Now, there were doctors out there that were not legit, and people were paying them to pass out prescriptions, just like candy.
Well, they've made it difficult.
Yeah. But they made it difficult, but Oklahoma's still in the top 10 for prescription. So, but yes, fentanyl has caused the overdose, but I have a family.
The illegal fentanyl, because fentanyl in a case is fine, like you said.
Yes, in a medical setting, yeah, that's administered properly, it's, they're taking care of that person. But the fentanyl that's used in other drugs is just a way to get people addicted. It's highly addictive, it's cheap, it's extremely dangerous. So I have a loved one, I will share this because this person has told me I can share this, but I mean, this person struggled with heroin addiction at one time, found recovery, went to the dentist, got a giant bottle of opioids, and his addiction was off and running. And so I think what was happening is the amount that was given to people was a lot compared to what people are given today. So, and he spent many years not in recovery, but I will say he is over 20 years in recovery today. So, but I saw that person get very sick. So maybe he didn't die today. He's not going to die of an overdose today, but it made him very ill. Yes.
This was 20 years ago, so it may have changed. But I had a nephew that had a drug problem, and has since died. He was getting his just online.
Yes.
Mostly out of Canada.
Yep.
Has that been addressed? Is that still a huge problem, or?
What I've been told, because this is where my loved one got it too, you can get it online, and it's hard for law enforcement to pinpoint where that is. So yes, it does continue. So, I will share, they used to call my loved one all the time, trying to get him to start back up again, and finally he just said, you know what? I've got constipation, you got anything for that? Just to try to get them from calling anymore. So, but it does, so there's other ways. It's not just death. If someone has addiction, right? Addiction is different than using medicine properly. It's monitored under medical care. What happened with Travis Reeder is he was in a bad accident and he became physically dependent on it, but he had no medical help how to get off of it. He wanted off of it, but no one wanted to touch it because it made it, at one point, everyone was scared of opioids. But he went from having no opioids, he almost lost his foot. And they had to rebuild it, he was in extreme pain. But he said that the pain that he felt from withdrawal from opioids was as bad as the pain that he felt with his foot destroyed. And there's no way that either the doctors were going to give them too much, or they said, oh no, you're a drug addict because you're wanting medicine for your pain, and he really felt like he was in a no-win situation. So he did become physically dependent and wanted help getting off of it, and he was not, he eventually did, but he was kind of like a guinea pig, so. Any other questions or thoughts? Yes?
I was just going to say a few things. There are a number of things that are being done now to abate the use of narcotics in the healthcare setting. So, like anyone like Bill who is able to prescribe narcotics, they have to have a DEA number, they have to have an Oklahoma Bureau of Narcotics number, and everybody gets, there's also a network now where you can see this. So if Randy goes to an emergency department and says, I'm hurt, whatever, give me narcotics, and then they give him a script, and then he goes down the street to the next, emergency department and says, hey, give me some stuff, they can see that he was given a script at that other place.
Right.
So another thing that they're doing is that, basically to Dan's point about like being like in surgery and they give you all these things and stuff, what they're doing now is like if you have a hip fracture, so David, if you fall and break your hip, I hope you don't. But if you fall and break your hip, they're not going to be giving you pain meds now. They're going to, a little bit, but they will give you a block. And so what that block does is a nerve block, and so it's blocking the nerve that tells your brain my hip hurts and stuff. And that lasts for 48 hours. So what they're doing now is they're getting less narcotics in there because those folks don't do so well. But when you use a non-narcotic to block the pain, accomplish the same goal, there's that. So a lot of things are happening to discourage the use of narcotics. So in fact, after this, my next meeting is on diversion in the hospital, talking specifically about narcotics.
Oh, wow.
So
Wow.
good timing.
Yeah. And again, there are legitimate uses for things. If they're regulated, if it's a doctor prescribing, but what's happening is it gets out on the streets and it's used in a different way. One of the things that happened with the regulations is, guess what happened when they couldn't get access to the pills? You know what happened? Start using heroin. It's cheaper and more easily accessible. Yeah. So if we don't, you can have policies in place, but it's not just a black and white easy fix, right? What are people using to begin with? What are the issues and the trauma that people are experiencing that they feel like they have to self-medicate, And when you change something here, you're gonna look at, well, are there the resources here to help people? And so I'm glad that there's a meeting, there's gonna be conversations and looking at things from the big picture and not just this one situation, this one answer is going to fix it. It's just more complicated than that. I do want to share a story about a young woman. Her mother suffered from alcoholism too. Sometimes it is generational. It's what you grow up with. You see it in your family. Alcohol is, just part of our culture. It's legal, but it can lead to other things. And she ended up at 19, getting exposed to opioids. And I will just say this young woman today is 7 years clean. She has served on our board, and she's currently an employee at our agency. And you would never know. Again, just getting away from the stigma and the shame that we put on people, and we think they look different than us, and they don't. They are us, and they're our brothers and they're our sisters. And same story, wasn't going to do it, was just trying to get by, but eventually realized that she could be better, and she's amazing. So all I would say is let's hear about people and get them the help that they need. In the meantime, let's keep them alive. And I have boxes of these. The thing that's happening now is the fentanyl is so strong, is that sometimes they're having to do 8 doses of these. There's 2 doses in this box. So I have some up front, if you would like to have some, I'd love for you, just keep it in your first aid kit. Think of it as just an addition to your first aid kit. I also have posters too, since we're a Narcan hub. If you're in a business or in a church and you just want to post it, we have our yoga posters as well. We provide free yoga on Tuesdays at noon as a holistic way of, just feeling good about ourselves. But share that with people and get that out to people. Any other questions? All right, now I'll hop back into my.
Got some back here.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, Jill.
How has treatment improved over the past 10 years?
How what?
How has treatment protocols improved over the last decade?
Well, I think medication-assisted treatment has been pivotal, and other options, other kinds of medicines that have helped people ease off of opioids. But medication by itself is not as effective unless they are in treatment and getting counseling. And working with the family as well is important, because addiction affects not only the individual, but the whole family. Yes, Jill. Right. Yeah, that's a good point. There is, temperature does affect it, but again, what they're saying, if that's how you're gonna have it accessible to you, keep it in the car. Yeah. All right. Let's thank our guests, Jennifer and Adam, thank you so much for being here today. And don't forget about signing up for the governor installation on June 30th. We will not have a meeting next Thursday. And Rotary After Hours is June 26th at O'Connell's. You got one more announcement?
I do not see Hank. If anybody is able to take the food to food and shelter, or even up to Salvation Army. And we've also got 2 things of tea. So if you want to grab a jug of tea on your way out, grab one. Otherwise, Rick, you got them? Yeah. Okay, thank you.
All right, this is my quote for today. Go Thunder!